So we're all seeing the seniors housing next adventure slide.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. So I went through the land acknowledgement. This is just the written out part. I'm not going to go back and go through these, but in 1959, we celebrated our 65th anniversary. Largest provider is seniors housing. We house close to 4,000 low to moderate income seniors. Like I said, we have a large amount of buildings across the city of Edmonton. So this is where we kind of left off. We have two programs in GEF. We have our apartment program, where, like I said, about 3/4 of our units are contained. These are just like any other apartment in the community. So if you think of like your boardwalks or your Main Street rentals, these are similar to that. So people do their own cooking, they do their own housekeeping, they have their own self-contained unit. And rent is calculated at 30% of their annual income. So like I said, just like any other apartment in the community, except it's only offered to individuals over 65 who meet our income threshold. Then we have our lodge program. So this is a supportive living program. So this is where individuals will pay 30% of their annual income plus the cost of support services. So those support services include 3 meals a day, weekly housekeeping, and our activity and wellness program. So our activity and wellness program is a service that all of our seniors that live in our lodge program are paying for. We are also an independent living option, so we do not employ medical care staff. So that's a little bit about our two programs. I wanted to unpack a few common misconceptions regarding seniors housing. So I've worked in seniors housing for about 10 years now in different roles, and I've met a lot of individuals who are either contemplating a move to seniors housing or are in the process of moving into seniors housing. Some of the things that I've heard is, a move to seniors housing is going to result in, me losing some of my independence. Other things we hear are some of those old stereotypes regarding nursing homes. So these are institutional environments, very clinical. I've also heard that these are only for old people. So, I'm still like a young senior. I'm still very active. Like, this isn't the option for me. We've heard a lot of, when I move into seniors housing, this is going to result in me becoming isolated or disconnected from my family and friends. We also hear, it's boring. Like, I don't want to move in there. There's nothing going on. And that's kind of what this picture that I have up here kind of shows, is this old stereotype of, people, in their pajamas and nurse having to be there and just kind of plopped into the TV. The other misconception that we hear a lot is seniors housing's only for people who have no other option. It's a last resort. This is for people who have no other options. Family doesn't want to take them in. It's kind of like a desperate situation. And so the reality of that is, our communities are built to promote independence. We are focusing on wellness through many initiatives that we'll cover throughout here. That a move to seniors housing is also a place where you can continue to share those skills and abilities that maybe you've picked up throughout your work life or through your hobbies. And while it's a place to share skills, it's also a place to learn new skills. So we really promote lifelong learning, and we put a lot of emphasis into that type of programming. These communities are vibrant. We have lots of active people living in them who are, maybe still even volunteering out in the community or volunteering within our facilities. And the big one here is a move to GEF should be an option and is a choice. So I like to think of this one gentleman who moved in a couple of years ago. I had met with him, And he was all over this. He was done, doing his cooking and doing his cleaning. Like he still could. He wanted to spend his summers at the lake fishing, and he wanted to spend his winters, visiting family and traveling. And so he was ready to kind of like wash his hands of all those responsibilities and move in. And so we have people all across the spectrum moving in for different reasons, but it can be a choice. And now there are some other realities. So there's this piece of social isolation. There's some statistics out there that are quite concerning. So if you read here, approximately 50% of people over the age of 80 report feeling lonely, and that men over the age of 80 have the highest suicide rate of all age groups. Like, that's huge. You see here, social isolation is considered a risk factor for elder abuse, and being socially isolated puts people at risk for some other things, like higher likelihood of falls, 5 times greater risk of hospitalization. And this stat here is one that kind of, it puts it all into perspective, that social isolation and loneliness is the equivalent of smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So that's huge. And I think something we all learned through COVID is being lonely and not being connected to our community and to each other is not conducive to being a human, and it's hard. And so in GEF, we're really trying to create communities that promote social connectedness, promote shared experiences. Like I said, we're going to go through and I'm going to give a bunch of examples of what that looks like. But before we do, I wanted to share our quality of life philosophy. So this really is something we take really seriously. So this philosophy, if you walk into one of our buildings, you're going to see it on the wall. If you're in someone's office, you're going to see it on the wall of their office. And it's not just something we throw on the wall. It's like we live this every day. This is a philosophy that we apply to problem solving, apply to decision making. And in a nutshell, it's all about supporting our individuals and having a good quality of life. So that's through promoting choice, offering them lots of options. That's through respecting people's dignity. That's through promoting well-being, interacting with respect, kindness, compassion. And one of my favorite ones is this accountability piece. Just giving our seniors the ownership and the encouragement to participate and provide feedback to their community. So this quality of life philosophy is really guides us through all of our decision making. And so kind of looping back to that apartment program. So I had mentioned we'd come back and kind of look at what we do in our different programs. So in our apartment program, so these are our apartments, just like any other apartment in the community. We are going to be promoting a tenant-led activity and wellness program. So this is a bit of a shift for us. So, over the last couple of years, we've been moving into this tenant-led model where we really encourage our tenants to create and develop and execute all of their activities and events. Prior to this, we had activities staff who would really lead the charge in this. But now we're kind of moving into a more supportive role and really empowering our tenants to own the activities that are happening in their communities. And a couple of really cool things happen when we do this. The first one being when we encourage our tenants to share their skills, share their ideas, work with each other. The things that are provided at that site are truly reflecting the preferences of the people who live there. So this isn't, the things that are happening aren't reflecting, what I think should happen there or what, maybe the building manager thinks should happen. It's 100% reflecting the preferences of the tenants that live there. when we do this, we also create a sense of community. So when we have to work together and meet each other, and it just creates these bonds and leads to a more vibrant community. It leads to friendships and connections that maybe wouldn't have been there before. And the last piece, this accountability and responsibility. The accountability and the responsibility of providing a program or an event is on the tenants, and this gives them full autonomy in decision making, what things look like, and control over their living environment. And so I have this photo here, which is a really good example. This is a couple that lives in one of our apartments who recently became Canadian citizens and wanted to um, just celebrate that with their community. So they put together this big party. They bought a cake. They invited everybody, and the community kind of came out to support them. And that was 100% facilitated and done by these tenants. A couple other really cool things that have happened this last year. Our tenants at Westlawn put on an art show. So they organized this themselves. They came down, all the artists in the building kind of displayed their artworks. You can see here anything from like knitted items to paintings, to acrylics, the full gamut. And I went to visit this art show, and it was really cool to see kind of the connections being made between artists in the community. It was cool to see, maybe people who weren't very artistic but were interested in learning more being connected with the neighbor. So it's just really cool. 100% organized by the tenants at Westlawn. And, our buildings, there's lots of great stuff going on. So Strathcona Place, they have these spaghetti dinners where a couple tenants will cook up a pot of spaghetti and, they'll deliver it. People will buy a plate. We got karaoke nights happening, shuffleboard leagues, bingo, pub nights, morning coffee where, they'll bring down their baking. We got all sorts of stuff that our tenants are putting together, and it's been really fun to see the things that they're coming up with. In addition to this tenant programming, GEF also wants to help facilitate other activities for them to do. So we do provide a summer barbecue in the summer. So we'll book some entertainment. Our staff will, fry up some burgers, some hot dogs, and do some door prizes. And we do a similar thing at Christmas. So this year, we're bringing in some catering to some of our sites, booking some entertainment, and just giving them another opportunity to come together and gather. Yeah, that's our tenant programming. It's still a work in progress. Like I said, this is still new, but I think we've had a lot of wins this year so far. So that moves us into our lodge programming. So in our lodge programming, these folks, like I said, are paying for activity and wellness programs. So our approach is similar, but our execution's a little different. So in all of our lodges, we have 11 lodges. We have a full-time activity and wellness coordinator on site. And this is another really cool job, and we have an amazing team. They are responsible for supporting our residents that live in our lodges in building and running their own programming. They're organizing special events. They're getting to know the community and, figuring out who can help out with this, who can help out with that, and just really building that community and creating the environment where our residents can come together. It's a really, really cool job. And so in these buildings, we take a community-focused approach. We want to, we know about social isolation and the impacts that it has. And we want our properties to be places where we're doing our best to combat that. And we are creating an environment that encourages social connection, encourages involvement. And so kind of how we do this is we're always looking for feedback from our residents. So we do this formally through, suggestion boxes, through meetings, through surveys. But the best way to do this is just to get out there and spend time with our residents, get to know them, just personally, day by day. That's the best way to get our residents involved. We always look to those 7 dimensions of wellness when we're trying to create balanced programming. So that's, your mental wellness, physical, spiritual, financial, environmental, vocational. So we're trying to create well-rounded program. And on the next slide, I'll show you one of our calendars and kind of show you what that looks like. But these are something we keep in mind every month when we're planning. Also, with all those programs, we want to be inclusive. So we want to ensure that we're making the proper adaptations when we need to. We want to be inclusive of a number of, different cultures and different interests. And that's part of getting to know our community and what's important to them. We try to include family as much as we can. We tell our residents, this is your home. So invite your family to events, invite your family to a pub night, invite them to a crib game. This is your home. And all of these spaces that we have in our lodges, like our activity spaces, our recreation rooms, these are extensions of your apartment, and you are welcome to use these spaces and invite your family, invite your friends, just like you would if you lived out in the community in your own home. Something else, we celebrate everything. So all of the big holidays we're celebrating. Like I said, any of those holidays that may be important to a group of residents, we're going to celebrate. We have a 100th birthday party coming up here in December at one of our lodges. So we're just trying to create opportunities for our community to come together and just celebrate the big and the little things. One of my favorite things we do is this intergenerational programming. So this is when we connect our seniors with maybe some kids or some teenagers, some young adults, and just try to get those connections happening. There's so much benefits on both sides when we bring the different generations together. And part of that is this integration of technology as well. So we are always looking at ways to incorporate new technology into our programming. We have iPads available to all of our residents. They can come down, sign out an iPad. We offer like tech courses so people can, work one-on-one with someone to, kind of work their way through, learning what Facebook is or learning how to use an iPad. And very exciting, we've actually incorporated some virtual reality into our programming as well. So this is very new for us, very cutting edge, and it's been really well received by our seniors. And we're hoping that we can connect some of this VR programming with some of our intergenerational program and have some of our youth come in and kind of use the VR with our seniors. So some cool stuff coming. So here's an idea of one of our monthly calendars. So all of our lodge residents receive a copy of this monthly calendar. And so this is where we're going to list our programming that's kind of scheduled. And so if you look here, we got everything from fitness to pet therapy. We got church groups. We've got social nights. That's where we're going to open up the bar. We're going to serve some drinks, have an entertainer come in. We got some travel programming, crafts, games, and all of this programming. It kind of takes a village to run it. So some of this programming will be ran by our residents, which is the ideal. Some of it will be ran by paid providers. So we'll bring in, yoga professionals to run yoga. Some of this will be ran by our activity and wellness coordinators on site. Some of this will be facilitated by community groups. And some of this will be facilitated by external volunteers that come into our properties. And so here's another example of another site. So you can see we had Grey Cup pool. We were selling tickets for that. Starting to sell some tickets for our big Christmas party. Craft beer tasting, that's a popular one. So we try to keep in mind those 7 dimensions of wellness, as well as the preferences of the community when we're building this calendar. Like I said, everybody gets a copy of this calendar. And this is very traditional. So if you went to kind of like any seniors housing, from like our level where it's like supportive living all the way to like long-term care, you're gonna see some kind of version of this, some type of activity calendar. This, like I said, it's very traditional. All of these programs are scheduled. They're typically group activities. So what we've kind of identified through time is this is great and I love it, but it doesn't always work for everybody. So not everybody is maybe interested in a group activity. Maybe not everybody is great at keeping time throughout the day. And maybe people just don't like a schedule. And so we've really been challenging ourselves to think of how can we support those individuals, because we know the harmful effects of social isolation. We know some of those misconceptions about seniors housing, and we know how easy it is for people to become isolated if they're not interested in these group activities. And that's where we've kind of incorporated this new approach. We've incorporated leisure into our programming. So there's a couple of facts about leisure. Leisure is part of all of our lives, and leisure is not scheduled. So these aren't the things that we do. I play soccer, for instance. That's scheduled. I know when it's coming. That's more of like a recreational type of activity. Leisure is the things that you do when you have some free time, when you're not, doing the dishes or running around, like when you have a spare moment and you can choose what to do. That's leisure. Leisure is not scheduled. Having our own leisure time, that's probably our favorite parts of our day. And they give us a chance to have some control over our time. Gives us a chance to do the things we really want to do at the end of the day. And is different for everybody. So what leisure looks like to me is definitely going to look different than yourself. And so our activity and wellness coordinators have been spending this year really first, like, educating people on leisure, because leisure is not always a natural part of everyone's day. Some people, went their whole life working really hard and spending every free moment they had completing tasks or preparing for the next day. And sometimes we actually have to do some education and say it's okay to take a breath and enjoy these free moments that you have. So we've been doing some education, and then we've been going out and trying to support people with this. So, in between those scheduled activities, our AWCs are going out and kind of just chatting with people. If we see someone, down, just sitting in maybe the lobby area, maybe just sitting down and be like, hey, is there something you want to try out today? Like, I got all sorts of options. What are you thinking about? And we can provide people with the tools they need, whether that's an art set or bird watching book, or the list goes, an indoor plant, and really anything. But this approach really involves really getting to know our folks. And so it's been fun. It's been a journey. We've learned a lot about our residents through this. And we really had to rely on some of our other departments as well, because, typically in our activity and wellness world, we get to know the folks that are really engaged and, always coming out to programming. Those are kind of the people who are easy to get information from and get to know. Um, we're really challenging ourselves to reach out to those folks that maybe don't come down as much. So, and not intrusively, like we never want to force anybody to participate because some people just don't want to. But we just want to be reaching out and ensuring they know that we're here. It's an option. Even if you've never come before, you always can. And if you don't want to come, if there's anything we can support you with in encouraging your free time, we can do that. So one of the things is, our housekeepers are in there once a week. All of our lodge residents get weekly housekeeping. And so our housekeepers have this unique opportunity to be up in someone's unit. And it's really a privilege because, you get to see the photos on their walls. You get to see the things that are important to them that they have laid out. And that's all a way to kind of get information and get to know somebody. Maybe that housekeeper learns that, Joe really likes puzzles and he's ran out of puzzles and he's never going to ask us for them. And so maybe the next time the housekeeper goes up, we pop a few puzzles on their cart. We're looking at our whole site team as being part of this approach and really encouraging not just leisure, but our planned programming. And utilizing all of our staff to kind of get to know our residents. So yeah, this is a new shift. We're still kind of working through it, but we've had some good success so far. Some of the other things we do just to promote wellness in our communities, we bring in lots of services. And some of these will also go to our apartment sites as well, but you can see here everything from massage to hair to, we bring the flu shot to you. Avon will often set up a little booth in our lobbies, or the Nutman. We bring in tax clinics to help people with their taxes. All of our lodges have little tuck shop on site where people can come down and buy some of those, like laundry soap, a chocolate bar, birthday cards, just those little things. We try to make that nice and convenient in our lodges. And I share this photo here. This is a photo of Stanley Construction. They were doing a window project at one of our properties, and it was a fairly invasive project for our tenants that live there. It involved removing their windows in their units and putting new windows in, and it was a long project. And afterwards, when the project was over, Stanley Construction, they came in and they supported us in providing, the folks there with a barbecue, kind of a wrap-up party. They serve the food, they cover some of the cost, and it just speaks to, we work with a lot of great vendors as well, and we're really trying to incorporate them into our like this quality of life philosophy. Like, you work in our buildings and we want you to get involved in other ways. So we have other vendors as well that have come out to help with decorating our lodges for Christmas, or planting our gardens, helping us plant our gardens in the spring. And so it's really nice. We're very fortunate to work with a number of really great vendors that totally get this quality of life philosophy, and that, we're all, whether you're a vendor or a GF staff, we're working in people's homes. That requires a bit of it. Another thing that we offer, and this is offered to all of our either apartment tenants or lodge residents, we offer bus outings to all of our sites. So we own a 16-passenger bus with a wheelchair lift and a van. We employ 2 bus drivers that will drive the bus for us, and we go everywhere. So, we love to go shopping, museums. We have passes to Elk Island, go to the Legions, different community events. I love it when we kind of travel to each other. So maybe we'll take folks from this building and bring them over here. to another building, maybe for a shuffleboard tournament or maybe to have a couple drinks at their pub night. And so yeah, our bus is kind of it's a great resource that we have. Like I said, every month, every property we have is offered at least one bus outing, and tenants and residents can sign up. Other really cool thing we do here is the Cycling Without Age initiative. So that picture you're seeing there with those 3 lovely volunteers, that's called a tri-shot. So it is an electric pedal-assisted bike, and we can put two people up in that front bucket and take them out for rides in the community. So this initiative, it's global, so it's all over the world, from like Japan all the way to Alaska. It's all over the world. GEF is the Edmonton chapter here in Canada. And with that, we have these 3 bikes. And all summer, we have these bikes going all over the city, and we are offering rides to all of our residents and tenants for the most part. This year, it was really fun. We had summer fairs where we invited family and friends to come join our residents for this kind of like carnival event. And so our tri-shaws were kind of like our ride for the event. So it was really cool to see our seniors with maybe their great grandchildren or their children out on rides, just showing them their community. It's a lot of fun. The Cycling Without Age, the purpose really is to give people that sense of freedom again, that enjoyment of being out on a bike, to feel the wind in their hair. It's a really great initiative. I totally recommend you guys going out and checking out their website. I'll include the link in our chat afterwards so you guys can follow that. But this year we offered over 300 rides, which is a new record for us. So the program is growing. And just a heads up, these tri-shaws are piloted by community volunteers. We typically start the recruitment for that in the spring. So if this is looking like something you would be interested in, stay tuned around like April or May. That's usually when we'll start advertising that we're looking for volunteers. Another really cool initiative we have that gives a lot of our seniors like purpose and being able to utilize those skills that they came to us with is our Great Knitting Giveaway. So for 15 years now, we have been collecting donations from the community of yarn and then taking those donations and turning them into usable items like scarves, toques, blankets. Our seniors do incredible work. Part of our intergenerational programming too, we want to transfer those skills on to maybe some of the younger generations. So we have some knitting programs set up, but we knit these items and then we donate them back. So actually today, we had a little bit of a event over at one of our lodges where we handed off 150 items to the Pregnancy Pathways program. And so it's nice. Our seniors got to meet with some representatives from the program and hand over some of their items. So lots of information about this on our website as well. And getting involved. So if after you've heard all this and it's looking like something maybe you want to get involved with, whether moving in or volunteering, we're always looking for volunteers. COVID did a number to our volunteer population. Our doors were essentially closed to the community for a year, 2 years. So our volunteer base was like decimated. We lost a big chunk of our volunteers, but our doors are open again. We're looking for volunteers. We have structured opportunities where it's like we're looking for bingo callers, we're looking for tri-shaw pilots, we're looking for bartenders. So we kind of have those like built-in opportunities, but we're also always looking for people to come with their own skills or their own hobbies or their own projects to share with us. So one of my favorites, we recently had a gentleman reach out who wants to get like Dungeons and Dragons started with our seniors. Never something we've ever done before. He's super passionate about it, so we're gonna give it a shot and see what happens. But we're always looking for volunteers to just offer a variety of programming, to share their skills, to bring that passion into our lodges. I will share the link in our chat after the presentation as well. And I shared a couple photos here today, but there's a whole bunch of photos on all of our social media. So we're constantly sharing kind of what we're up to, typically on Facebook or Instagram. And we've recently reinstated our Community Connections newsletter. So this is a subscription. You kind of sign up, and then every month we'll kind of release a newsletter. Just kind of recaps what's going on. I think our last one was regarding our Great Knitting giveaway. So you can get more information there. But I'll link all this in our chat as well. So just some closing thoughts. These are kind of the pillars of aging well, and these are the things that we are doing our best to incorporate into our programming. Like I said, this is more than just the life enrichment, activity and wellness department's responsibility. This is really something that we're trying to have a more collaborative approach at our sites, where all of our departments are working together to provide housing that, again, is more than just basic shelter. With that said, that is kind of it for the formal presentation. So I wanted to open it up to questions. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. Give me one moment here. Okay, can you guys see me? Perfect. Okay, were there any questions that you guys had?
I have one question. Are utilities included in either department or the lodge?
Love the passion with the bikes, can tell. Yes, I love the trishaws. They're a lot of fun. Thank you.
There's no utility charge when you're at the lodge.
Were there? Oh, Monique, are you trying to ask a question?
Yes, sorry. I was wondering about utilities for the apartments.
Okay. Did anybody have any other questions? Feel free to just spit it out.
I do also.
Hi there.
Hi. I'm not sure.
Oh, you're muted.
Am I?
Sorry, we can't hear you. Is your mic muted? Your mic is muted.
There. Can you hear me now?
I am trying.
Hmm.
I tried to unmute you. We still can't hear you.
Hmm.
If you want to type in your question into the chat, maybe I can respond there.
Sure.
I see here someone had a question regarding the application process. I can cover like the basics of what that looks like. Oh, you guys can hear each other, but I can't hear you. Cool. That works really well. I don't have you guys muted. I don't know what's going on. I'm so sorry. Let me see. Let me try one thing here. Let me see. Settings, audio. Okay. Someone want to try talking? Again.
Hello. Hello.
Sorry, I'm not hearing anybody's mics. I don't know why. Someone had a question about the application process. I can certainly cover the basics of that, but we did have a webinar earlier this week or earlier this month. It's on the Housing Month website, and you can go in and rewatch that. Our one of our managers did a whole presentation on our application process, but essentially we have applications available online or via paper. Kind of fill those out, submit them to us at our central office, and then we reach out to our applicants. All of our applicants undergo kind of, I hate the word interview, but we meet personally one-on-one with all of our applicants just to get a better feel for where they're coming from, be able to point score for our wait list, and just make sure that, you know, we're a good fit for them as well. So that's kind of our application process. But like I said, we had a whole webinar on it earlier this month that I can maybe link it back here. Our utilities included. So yeah, utilities are included. So we charge the 30% of monthly income for rent, and then it's an extra $50 for electricity. So the water and the heat, that's all built in, but it's an extra $50 flat rate, comes out with your rent every month. In the lodges, there's no charges for utility. That's apartments. Yeah. What's here? I noticed in a couple of lodges there were not many double occupancy units. Does GEF have any plans to increase the number of double occupancy lodge settings? That's not something I can really answer to. I do not know of any plans to do this. However, I do know that sometimes, you know, we do have a wait list for couples. So this is an option for couples. Sometimes if there is no double occupancy unit, meaning a unit where two people can live together, we will often do like 2 single units. Here's another one. Wondering why Saka and Otwell don't offer seniors on low income a subsidized rate to live there. Okay, so Saka and Otwell are a little unique. They're part of our affordable program. So this was a response to providing housing at more of that market rate. And so at Saka Terrace, actually, we do offer the subsidized rate to our lodge tenants. So the lodge program there, we do have the subsidized and we do have the market rate. But unfortunately, in the apartment program at both of those sites, it's only targeted to market rate income. It's just another option. We provide a lot of other options for subsidized. So Saka, Otwell, and actually Roslyn Terrace were our response to kind of a need for that market level, maybe not like the really, really expensive for-profit rate and maybe a little more than the subsidized rate, because there are people that do fall in the crack there that maybe can't afford the for-profit, you know, really high rate and don't qualify for a subsidized market. So that's a little bit about that. Oh, Kathy, I helped my dad apply over a year ago and haven't heard anything. I will, I'll message you after this. Maybe we can chat. And Jason, thank you. Okay, was there any other questions? Oh, perfect. All right. Oh, there's some questions here. Oh, scroll up. What type of volunteer programs are you wanting implemented? You mentioned a fellow who was starting Dungeons and Dragons. So we're looking for anything. The biggest thing, we have those identified needs. So we always need bingo callers, always need bartenders. So we're always looking for those, but we are also looking to bring people in who have a passion and a hobby that they want to share, because when people are passionate about something and skilled at something, it just creates this really great environment. Like, we would prefer to bring in someone who was maybe really passionate about art and had some skills and, again, passion for that, over maybe one of our staff trying to provide something like that, who maybe isn't as passionate. It's always best to bring in that passion and that excitement, but we're looking for people who have skills and passion to share with us. And what do I personally feel is missing in terms of enrichment? I don't know that I can have a personal thought on that. I think that is personal to everybody. And I think the answer to that question would be different if you asked any senior who lived with us. I think, or staff who worked with us. I think this is such a personal personal thing. That's why we're trying to incorporate more leisure, and we're trying to get, you know, some of those skills and those hobbies out of our residents to share, because it's also personal, and you know, not everybody is interested in the big events or the group activities. Some people prefer just like one or two people to connect with. And so it's really hard to do kind of like a one size fits all for that. It's a very personal approach. Yeah. Are all units non-smoking? Yes. So GEF has a clean air initiative where all new move-ins are not permitted to smoke in their units. We do have options in some of our buildings of indoor smoking rooms, and we try to create spaces outdoors for smoking as well. There are a few grandfathered in tenants though from years and years ago. So there are people who, you know, 10 years ago were maybe allowed to smoke in their units that are still living with us. Also, we say our units are non-smoking, but I'm not going to lie, it still happens. And I think it's kind of a problem that most landlords and housing bodies are having to navigate, is this whole smoking in a non-smoking unit. But it's something that we are actively addressing when it comes up. Yeah. Was there any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to pop some of those links into the chat here if you are interested in following us on Facebook or applying for a volunteer position, or subscribing to our blog. I'll also pop in my email. So if you had any questions and you wanted to reach out to me, feel free. Same as the lady who said that they applied about a year ago and haven't heard back. I want to put my email in here. My email. Do any of our subsidized units have balconies? Yes, a few of our properties do. So Kiwanis Place, they have balconies. And I think that's about it for our subsidized units. Maybe Central Manor, actually. I think Central Manor. I know their ground level has like walkout patios. But yeah, balconies aren't a very common thing that we provide. Oops. So I'm going to pop in my email here. And thank you all for being patient with some of the technology challenges we had today. And sorry that I cannot hear you guys. So here is my email. And I'm going to pop in those links real quick. Oops. Where did it go? Okay. So this is the sign up for our Community Connections blog. So that's where you can sign up for that. Here is our link to volunteer. And here is our Facebook and our Instagram. There you go. Thank you all so much. I apologize that I couldn't hear you guys and that my screen wasn't sharing in the beginning. But like I said, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to continue this conversation or answer any questions kind of outside of this. I'll even pop in my my work cell just in case someone wants to. All right. Thank you all very much. Bye.